Everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Sasha, and welcome to my informative speech. Today, we're going to learn about a quinceanera. My 16th birthday party was quite a special, sweet 16 for me. I spent a lot of time planning it out. It turned out we had a huge hobo dinner, biscuits over an open fire, bobbing for apples, bonfire, hayride, and the best part of the birthday party, start to finish, including the cake, which was massive, was when a very good friend of our family brought me a llama. An actual llama is the only thing I wanted for my 16th birthday, and I got it. I know most girls want a cart. I wanted a llama. So it was pretty exciting, and it was a very special moment in my life, and it is something that I'm never going to forget how awesome that party was. A quinceanera is pretty much the same thing. It is a huge birthday party for someone of the Mexican culture when they turn 15. You guys' reasons to listen to this presentation is to learn a little bit more about the Hispanic culture and to understand what a quinceañera is and why it's so important. My credibility, I have been in Spanish in high school and college for about 6 years, and in high school, one of the girls in my class actually had a quinceañera, and she took our whole class kind of along for the ride, so it was a pretty awesome moment to see. A quinceañera is a traditional coming of age in the Hispanic culture. For girls, this is a very important step in life because they're moving past childhood and going into adulthood, and it is something that they look forward to their whole entire lives just as much, if not more, as their own wedding. So first, I'm going to discuss what a quinceañera is and why it's important. Second, I'm going to explore how it's celebrated and get into some of the symbolic references of some of the clothing that they wear. And finally, I'm going to explain what it means for a girl who's now come of age and how she's viewed in the Hispanic culture. So first off, I'm going to discuss what a quinceañera is. As you can see by PowerPoint slide 2, it is a celebration and coming of age party for girls of the age of 15 in the Hispanic culture. Quinceañera is actually two words, quince, which means 15, and añera, which means year. So it's literally 15 years. That's what quinceañera is. On PowerPoint slide 3, it kind of discusses why it's so important. It is a celebration of 6 main things: God, family, friends, music, dancing, and food. And when we think of the Hispanic culture, that's typically some of the stuff that we think of when we think of some of their traditions and their celebrations. They don't really know when quinceañeras started. Mythology says that it happened about 500 BC in the Aztec culture. As soon as a boy in this culture turned 15, he became a warrior for the Aztec nation. And girls then were primed and primed to take on the burden of running a household, having a family. So they were taught all of these skills before they were given to these young men as these men and women came of age. On PowerPoint slide 4, you'll see some of the ways that it's celebrated. Traditionally, a quinceañera is a massive Thanksgiving. It is a huge party. It's typically held in a church, and lots of people come to it. They spend a lot of time, money, and effort planning this party just like you would if you were having a wedding. It's all formal attire, and the girl who's having the quinceañera typically wears a dress that stands out from all the rest because it's her day, it's her party. And she kind of has, almost a bridal party. She has her parents, her godparents, sponsors, um, and she has her friends and family kind of stand up as bridesmaids for her during this important step of her life. During the ceremony itself, they have a candle lighting, which is kind of like extinguishing the flame of childhood and lighting the flame of womanhood. They renew their baptismal vows that their parents made for them when they were baptized. They have a crowning where the girl who's celebrating the quinceañera takes off the headdress that she has on, which is sometimes typically made of flowers, and puts on a tiara. And then now more prominent in the culture with the change in society is this huge friendship dance where her and her friends get together and choreograph this huge dance production that they do in front of everybody. There's also a father-daughter dance where the father can present his daughter to society as a woman, and it's kind of like the father's beaming moment. And then, of course, there is traditional Mexican dishes, which fiesta wouldn't be complete without them. Now that we know what a quinceañera is, let's talk about the celebration itself and some of the symbolic meanings behind it. I'm going to explore how it's celebrated in the family with special focus on the clothing and the symbolism related to the clothing. Like I said before, and as you can see on PowerPoint slide 5, it's a huge celebration. Lots of time, effort, money goes into this. And everybody's wearing formal attire. You will not see someone walking around in a t-shirt and pair of jeans at one of these. The girl that's having the quinceanera is typically given four important things from her sponsor or her godparents. A tiara, which pretty much is symbolic of her taking off the circlet of childhood and putting on the crown of adulthood, and at the end of her day, and she being the princess of center of attention. She has a cross or a medal that kind of reconnects her to God, and it is, after all, a party for her and her religion and God. She gets a Bible or a prayer book and a rosary, which kind of reminds her, hey, I can do anything as long as my life is focused on God. And then she receives a scepter. And the scepter is kind of like her symbol of authority. It's given to her, and then she's viewed as a woman. It means that she's held accountable for her actions now, when she wasn't before. And of course, there's dancing, food, and music. And dancing, food, and music, back in 500 BC, when they first started quinceañeras, that's pretty much the only thing that they had that tied their culture together. So, now that they have their party and they're of age, what does this mean? I'm going to explain what it means for girls when they come of age. As you can see on PowerPoint slide 6, back in 500 BC, boys when they turn 15 become warriors. Girls are taught how to tend house and care for a family. Nowadays, a quinceañera is more a bridging from childhood into womanhood and their maturity, and they're now held accountable for their actions. They have to behave in a ladylike manner. They have to be seen and viewed now as a woman and not as a child. A quinceañera is very important. And as we just went over, I went over 3 kind of important points. I discussed what a quinceañera is and why it's important. I explored how it's celebrated and some of the symbolic references in the clothing. And third, I explained what it means for the girls, because now they're adults. They're viewed that way. Quinceañera is a very important coming-of-age ceremony for girls in the Hispanic culture. And it doesn't matter if it's your Sweet 16 or your quinceañera. Any girl that is coming of age, it's a very important milestone in their life and a step on their way into adulthood and womanhood. Thank you for joining me for my presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I would be more than happy to answer them, and thank you for joining me.